Welcome to the Your Ate podcast, where you'll experience the unfiltered and inspiring world of impact-driven women business owners. I'm your host, Mary Grace Iniguez, a female multi-passionate entrepreneur and the owner of Social Register Network, and I'm on a mission to ignite the power within you. Here at the Your Ate podcast, we're all about sharing authentic stories, both the triumphs and the challenges, because it's through our life experiences that we can truly impact others. I believe that by opening up and embracing vulnerability, we can empower ourselves and those around us. So grab your headphones and let's celebrate the resilience, passion, and the determination of each impact-driven women business owner. Remember, your story is the spark that can light up the world. Let's make an impact and ignite the power within you. Ladies, I am so excited to introduce you to my next guest, okay? She is in real form my ate, okay? And she's your ate today because we're going to learn more about Mrs. Marissa Hawkins and really dive into her journey and her story. And I'm just so excited. I'm super excited because I know her from the core and I'm excited to share her story. So Marissa, thank you so much for coming on the Your Ate podcast.
Finally, I am super excited to be here because I truly am a ate. I've never in real life been able to have my sisters be, with me in this journey, but I feel like being with a whole bunch of boss up women such as yourself makes me feel like I am with my sisters. And so this has been a joyful ride being in business and obviously personal, because our stories are so personal and really, like I was just saying earlier, has so much commonality that you really don't realize because we're always stuck in our little bubble, that there are other women out there that exist that are just like us, that have gone through the same journey or have so many things in common. And it's amazing that we have come together because of it. So I'm happy to be here.
You were so right. I think that we all just think that we're alone in a lot of things. And I think this podcast has really brought that to light, that we're very similar in many ways. And it doesn't matter where you are in this journey. It doesn't matter if you own a multiple seven-figure business or you just started your business yesterday. We still have the same thoughts, the same fears. A lot of us have the same upbringing. I know you and I have shared a lot of that. So this is really a superpower of mine to be able to share everyone's stories and really impact another person. So today, I want to dive into your story, okay? And Marissa, you are a boss. You are a true boss. And I think I told you when I first met with you over at the French Cafe, I don't know if I told you this part actually, of kind of how I was fangirling because I'm like, oh my God, I've been following Marissa and I just loved everything you posted was just so moving. You were so eloquent with your words and I've just been looking up to you even though I didn't know who you were. So when we connected and then we went out for coffee and had a little lunch, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting with Marissa Hawkins. So I just wanted to share that part with you. I don't think I've shared that with you actually.
And no, but I'm so deeply honored because I feel the same about you. I feel like everything you're doing right now with connecting people in business is needed. It's necessary. And I wish when I started my business that you were around then and that I could absolutely connect to other like-minded business owners who have gone through, the journey already, that I could pick their brains and say, hey, what do you think I should do with this? There's a lot more now than there ever was, but finding the right group that you belong to is definitely more of a task to find on your own accord, which group that, you are obviously aligned with.
Yeah. But That's really important. Starts with you. Like for me, I've
Absolutely.
been looking up to you and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to reach out and see if she would like to connect. I think you attended one of my past events I've done and you went up to me and you were like, I just wanted to let you know that I loved what you set up there and you did an awesome job, because I think I was super nervous and I'm an introvert, all the things. And I'm like, oh my God, Marissa's complimenting me. So thank you. And now it's full circle for me to be on a book with you that we'll actually dive into, but also have you on the podcast to share your story because as I mentioned, you are a boss lady. You own multiple businesses, you're a wife, and you're a mother. But let me add that she's also married to her high school sweetheart, and she's a fellow Filipina. So, Marissa, tell everybody who you are for anyone who doesn't know you yet.
I am a small business owner, but my name, as you know, is Marissa Hawkins, and I literally am 100% Filipina. I married my high school sweetheart, and we've been together for the past 33 years.
Woo.
Half our lives, we've ran more than half our lives now. We've been running for almost 2 decades a business called Massage Envy. But even before that, we had other businesses. We've been in real estate investment. We own another franchise called Facelogic. Our very first business was actually a car shop where we installed car alarms and lowered cars and car systems. And these were things that earlier on, you dabble in a little bit just to get your feet wet. But it really wasn't until we solidified a business with Massage, signed the documents to get into a franchise with Massage Envy, that I really started to develop into the person who I am today. And it was a journey that I knew nothing about. And as I was telling you, I wish that I had an ate back then that I could call upon to say, hey, don't worry, everything's going to be all right. I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do. And if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call anytime you have any questions, and I'll be there for you. I didn't have that. And so making sure that moving forward, as other women come up the ranks in their new experience of delving into the risk-taking world of entrepreneurship or business ownership, I want to make sure that they don't fall short of having that helping hand come to them and say, come with me and I'll teach you. Come to my business. Let me show you the ropes. Let me show you what I did. Let me give you some suggestions. And let me, if I don't have the answer, let me be a resource to you of someone who may have a better answer than I could give you. And that's what it's all about in this world, is being able to serve to a capacity that you're not only serving others, but you're serving yourself in the process, because you know that they're going to be taken care of and that their success ultimately becomes your success.
Oh, I'm telling you, ladies, that every time Marissa speaks, you just want her to keep speaking. I'm like trying to get her to launch her own podcast.
You guys always are floating my boat with that stuff. I mean, I literally speak from the heart, and I do what I can to just speak from experience.
Yeah.
And I am just so lucky. I always say this every day, that I have a little bit of knowledge, because I always say that I'm always going to be forever a student and forever a teacher. But at the end of the day, I think leaders are readers. We read a lot of books. We listen to a lot of great, things that feed our soul. We have a lot of great role models and mentors out there. I know Monica and I think you as well, we love Oprah Winfrey. And, there are so many aspiring women, Sarah Blakely. And I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm just so enamored by women who are obviously taking the reins in this world to become powerful forces to reckon with. And obviously, while they're doing so eloquently, they're taking others along the way with them and won't settle for anything less than what they deserve. And ultimately, when I basically was reading, I haven't read all of it, but a common factor that all of us share in this book with the 16 women, because we're like in 2 different kind of covers, is the fact that majority of us did what we did for the sake of our children. Mm-hmm. And that story resonates with so many women because they want to do it all. And doing it all is not just having a 9-to-5 job or having a job, period. It's about having that healthy balance of being there for our children to make sure that they have what they need, the nurturing that they need to become, that individual that they were meant to be as well. And so there were 3 things this year that I think that I attest have fulfilled some of my core values. And as you already know, some of my core values, well, I know you knew one of them. My 3 core values are family, health, and service. So obviously the family wise, I, have added an addition. We have added an addition to our family by having a granddaughter be introduced to our family this year. Little Mila May is now going to be officially 6 months this month.
And I have to add, if they're watching the YouTube video, you're looking at Marissa and you're like, what? She's a whole Lola? Yeah, she's a whole Lola. Yes, she does look like she's in her 30s, but she is a whole Lola.
am grateful. And I am grateful that I didn't know when I had my baby, my first son at 21, that I was going to be able to, do all the things that I did, and quite frankly, be able to leave a legacy for, our children and my grandchild. But what I can say about that family experience is not only do I have a grandchild, but I can honestly say that because of the foundation in which we brought our child in, he happens to be a decent parent. And if anything, probably a better parent than we could ever be of his own child. And to me, that is so beautiful watching him and his wife become new parents and, nurturing and loving on this baby like they do. It melts my heart. And as a mother, that's the thing that it's the thing that you want most in life is to have that love for your child to experience themselves and to know that they love someone more than themselves. And I get to see that this year with my own son. And it's a beautiful thing to witness. And I know one day you'll also be able to experience that, Mary Grace. And I always remember my mom saying, you just wait till one day when you have kids and they have kids. And you know that saying, how that goes. And I now get what she's saying and I get it now. In certain moments, I'm like, oh my God, my mom said that. And she was right. And so now I totally get it because back in the day, my mom was my babysitter. And I know you can relate to that too. And so my mom was a babysitter while she was working a full-time job at night. Then she would come home so that I could go to school and also work. And she would take care of my baby the whole day. Now I have a little bit more flexibility than my mom did because, she was in the nursing field, but God, man, I granted me and blessed me with some great parents. And so my mom really helped Mario and I out a lot. She basically raised all her grandbabies. And you would definitely do the same thing too, because we come from that culture where you just don't let your babies get watched by anyone else but family. You know what I mean? And or some trustworthy person. So I know that there's a lot of women who can relate to that. This world is kind of crazy, as we all know, and hence me wearing the rebel red today. We just went through, a recent tragedy, and the one thing I can think about is, our babies. What does the future hold for our babies? And right now, it is scary times, but I think life is what you make it, and you just, like I said in the book, you roll with the punches, and you really just try to be the best version of yourself each and every day. So I can say that for a fact that the family aspect was watching my son grow into a decent parent and blessing me with a grandchild. The health aspect, I finished 300 days today of the jump rope challenge. So I have kept with my word of being able to be heart healthy. Because in doing so, it keeps my mind healthy, it keeps my emotions healthy, and it keeps my spirit healthy. So I feel like out of the 365 days out of the year, I did 300 days of jump rope, but I also do a lot more than just the jump rope. I do, the running and keeping myself active. And I think health wise, being able to pitch health and wellness to the schools as well as to certain industries and corporations that need to hear, the importance of getting massages, getting facial self-care, and being mindful as well as making sure that, our mental health is protected. That is something that, I didn't get into this business just to promote massages and health, like not just the franchise I'm promoting. I'm really promoting really taking the time to, do things for others by giving and granting them, time for themselves, whether you're a business owner or you're someone who's just wants to thank someone because you're in deep gratitude to them for being in your life, for doing things for you to make your life easier. This is all a part of the health. And I always love to talk about the meds RX, which I heard from Jim Quick, who's this brain guy. And the meds RX is, and I add something different to it because he says M stands for massage and meditation, exercise for the E, D for the diet, S for the sleep. The RX, the prescription, is for relationships for the R. And the X is the extra of all of those. So anytime you can put extra of any of those into your life, those are the types of med prescriptions that we need, the med RX. And so it's an easy acronym to remember, and it's easy enough because it's something, all of them actually are free except for two. So obviously you have to pay for the massage, and the diet you obviously have to put healthy things into your world, and it does cost money to be able to do that. But everything else is free. Meditation is free, exercise is free, sleep is for free, relationships is for free, and all the extras could be free depending on which one you choose.
Yeah, I
And so
love it.
I preach that all the time because I think it's easy to remember and it's easy to say, what haven't I done for myself this week that I could do
Mm.
better? And really just taking that time to unwind.
I love that we're going into this segment because I want to ask you, with all the businesses that you own, and obviously being a wife and being a mother, how did you do it? How were you able to really put yourself first? Because I know that that's important, to put your wellness first so that you can show up for your children, for your husband, for your parents too, and also run these businesses. How is that for you? Can you take us along on that journey?
Yeah, I'm a very spiritual person. So I brought up two of the three of the Hawkins Group motto, which is family, health, and the last one is
Hmm.
service. So, how I bring that into is my spirituality. My father was the guy who made sure that every Sunday, we gave thanks and that we kept holy thy Sabbath day. And so I was brought up in my aunt's house is where we started because, we were saving money to buy our own house. So there was a family of five living in the basement of my aunt's house in Seattle, Washington. And she picked that house and she basically got married to a guy who basically got her citizenship. So then she was able to petition my grandmother and grandfather, and my grandfather basically petitioned all of the brothers and sisters to come then to the United States. That's how it worked.
Hmm.
But everybody lived in the basement of my aunt's house.
Wow.
And so as one was leaving, another one was coming in. And this is just the rotation. But my aunt was very, mindful and intentional in choosing this house because she didn't drive. So she chose a house that was near church so that she could walk to church, whenever she needed to. And she took the bus everywhere she needed to go. So this lady made it, all around town by taking the bus or hitching rides from the friends that she would make at work. And every time someone was coming from the Philippines, there was always a job readily in place for that person because it was the system of networking.
Hmm.
And that was like, okay, you need a worker? Well, good job, because I have someone who's coming up. And if you want to hire them, they'll work really hard for you. And when you come from a country where you have less and you want more, you think of the United States as a land of the opportunity. And therefore, many of them got their start that way. And many of the employers hired people, like us because we obviously understand the opportunity that was presented to us was an opportunity of a lifetime to be able to make it in this world and make it without having to worry about, less because this is where we come from. You now have the opportunity to become whoever you want to be. You want to be a doctor, a lawyer, this, you now save up the money so that your child can have that opportunity to obviously because they're going to be living vicariously through
Yeah.
us now. We're that next generation that basically will go to school, will get the education we need to have a better life and be able to take care of them because we were able to, do it because of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My parents worked two jobs to be able to put my sisters, all three of us, through school, but they never let us forget where they came from because the Bollock buy-in boxes are a representation of giving back.
Hmm.
You're giving back to your hometown. So as a child growing up, I watched my mom consistently, yearly, pack these boxes full of goodies. They were filled with old tennis shoes, old clothing. We never had anything that went to waste. And then she bought towels. She bought packets of Spam, Vienna
Yeah.
sausages.
Yes.
Like that was steak to us back in the day, right? And toothpaste and chocolates and
Hmm.
towels and all the things that you could fill in the box that when it arrived, they were a happy camper.
Yeah.
And obviously the top ramen and the noodles. Any Filipino person who's in my generation or before me will understand what that is and what that means and what it's like to live under those conditions, knowing that this is something that, oh, before you think you have a hole in that shirt, you are going to say, Mom, do you think that,
Hmm.
do you want me to throw this away or do you want me to get, we don't waste anything. And you're like, no, just give it. They'll sew it and they'll cut it and they'll make it like fit. Like, wow. And at the end of the day, you are like grateful that you were able to give it to someone who's going to put it to good use.
Mhm.
As the saying goes, another person's, trash is another person's treasure.
Yep.
One person's, trash is another person's treasure. So I think that knowing that every day I wake up, I had the opportunity to change the life of someone, and that my business has been used as a platform to give back in some sort of way, whether it be jobs that we provide every day, or a paycheck, and being able to make sure that people are able to fulfill their passions because now they graduated from massage school or cosmetology school. Now they're able to have a place to be able to hold their license. It's a beautiful thing. So now they can provide for themselves and put food on the table for their families. Beautiful. And then also knowing that I now can give my voice I have a platform now because I've been able to take my experience as a business owner to be a voice to speak at the middle school, the high school, at the colleges now, and be a keynote speaker. That's like, I never even fathomed the fact that I could even do this. And here I am. People want to hear, what my journey was all about. And I am fathomed by the fact that they actually even want to hear about it and that they even care to. And when at the end of the day, when I'm done speaking and they said, "You're an inspiration," like, wow, I'm just floored. I really am floored. And I'm very honored. And I'm glad that, we not only can be a voice, but we can also use our voice to teach other business owners and our members and guests how they can get involved to help the community around us. And being able to do that, we were able to raise books to read to our elementary school students and give for them to take home, to have something tangible to remember their teachers by and their community leaders by. And we've been able to, together, you and I, along with our Boss Up women, have been able to talk about entrepreneurship, to college students, and talk about what it was like to have $0 in our pockets and to, finally say, oh, we finally have a little money. We can now afford to buy this Louis Vuitton purse, and really say we earned it because we really did, and who's one to tell us that we shouldn't be buying this because we know what we had to go through to earn it. And so I think at the end of the day, when you ask me, how do I find that balance? Balance is about being significant to others. And I feel my significance of utilizing my business makes me significant because I could use my business in other ways, but I choose to use it in a way that helps serve others. And those three things that I just mentioned, paycheck through people fulfilling their passion, philanthropy work through getting business owners involved and using your voice as a platform, and really just knowing that, this business has been around for 2 decades and has provided thousands of jobs. So it's been a learning curve, and it's also been a business that's helped me to be able to teach as well. And I didn't know I had the capacity to. Didn't even think I could one day be an author. And the thing about it is, someone said this to me, and I nearly laughed in her face. I'm like, "Yeah, right. Me write a book." And I was like, "What for?" And then, who would want my book? Like, who would want my book? And now getting started with this and trying to finish up my own book so that I can actually have, my children's children be able to have something tangible to remember me by is a legacy that I definitely am happy to leave behind, because I don't have that with my own grandmother. My grandmothers, I would have loved to read their story. I would have loved to immerse myself in their life. I would have loved to know the hardships and the wins that they had and their love life. I would have loved to listen to that. And now they're gone, and I don't even have, just pictures to remember them by, but
Yeah.
and little memories here and there. But I would have loved to have held their story and told people about their grandmother through the book.
And that's the
So
part that I share with a lot of women, not only in a book, but like just showing up online, telling your story when you're asked to speak anywhere and everywhere, just like this podcast, and sharing your story. You're leaving a piece of you for your future grandchildren to hear, to see you, to get into your mind a little bit. And just like you, I would have loved that. Like, would have loved that.
there was a picture of Mila and I at the book signing for the launch.
Mhm.
And Mila, it was surreal. I am writing to Mila, her first, I'm signing her book.
Yeah.
It's me signing my book to my granddaughter. And there, I felt at that moment it was something that I had dreamt and that I had probably once dreamt of and it came to fruition. Like I had a deja vu moment, and it was so surreal that I thought, wow, everything you ever desire or really want to manifest in your life can absolutely happen. You know, I journal a lot, I do vision boards a lot. The visualization is real, but the part that oftentimes people miss is the feeling that goes behind it. That feeling of knowing that my granddaughter is going to have a little piece of me, you know, in this book, it is wonderful. And now it drives and propels me to even make sure that the next book that I write, that's solely just me, is about, you know, the struggles and the grit and you know the challenges and adversity that we faced, and being a woman, being young, and being a minority, that you know hopefully she won't have to go through. And as we continue to speak more, it gives them the platform to have the opportunity to really speak up for themselves and not, you know, back down when it's their own truth or when they feel like this is a great idea, I need to run with it, and not fear the fact that, you know, it would fail. Because through all of the things that we've lost or all the things that we failed at, you know, there's always going to be those big wins that come along the way that make you forget about those small losses that accumulated to 1,000 losses. You know what I mean? It's that one big win that basically sets you apart and says, oh my gosh, thank God I kept pushing along, that I kept going. Because that one big win reminds you of all those hardships that you go through just to get to that moment. So I appreciate those.
What I see full circle just from watching and knowing you is you truly found your purpose. And there are a lot of women listening who maybe are trying to find their purpose, know their purpose, but just don't know how to execute on that. Where was that pivotal moment for you where you found your purpose?
So, one of the things that I talk about when I go to the high schools, especially the high schools, because they are going to be 16 and they're going to be driving, which I don't know why every 16-year-old wouldn't want to drive, but there are students that are fearful of driving. Like, oh my gosh. And back in my day, all of us wanted
We
to
all wanted
drive.
to drive when we were
We
like
wanted our
10.
independence. Right. We wanted a job and we wanted our independence and we wanted to do this. So, I let them know the biggest thing I will tell them is to get a job. And I tell them to build their experience, to build job skills. I tell them to talk to everyone, build their communication skills. You have to be proficient in communication. You have to be proficient in building relationships and put yourself out there. Even if you're an introvert, make yourself feel uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
and do the work, because oftentimes the work that you didn't want to do will lead you to the work that you really do want to do, right? And along the way, I let them know that I'm still figuring out who I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah.
It never ends. It's because we're constantly wanting to know what's next. Once you've conquered one and you've got really good at it, you want to reinvent yourself, as you should be. Who is to say that we're all subject to being good only at one thing? We are all multifaceted people, and the sky's the limit to whatever you want to achieve in life. And for me, it's knowing that the world is abundant and the world has so many things to offer. You just have to know which one it is that fulfills your heart, that drives you to madness because you want it so bad, you know, or you want to learn it so bad because you've seen what it could do for you and you've seen the excitement that it brings you. And I always say that people resonate with different singers, different, poets and things, because whatever they're saying resonates with you and it's calling at your heart. It's because that's you. You know, that's
Yeah.
you at its core. So not everybody is going to resonate with everybody, but there is pieces that you resonate with someone because we're all relatable in some sort of way. I mean,
Yeah.
all go to the bathroom the same way. We
Yes.
all have health problems the same. I mean, we all have the same challenges. It's the way we deal with those challenges. It's our choice at the end of the day. How do you choose to feel? So I think the manifestation portion, along with the affirmations portion, is necessary. It is a exercise that we all must do, but it's the feeling that comes along with the manifestation portion and the affirmation portion. because without that feeling, there's a disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're visualizing and affirming and manifesting, there has to be a point where you're like, oh my gosh, Mary Grace, guess what just happened? This jump rope challenge is going to come to fruition because this is what happened. That level of excitement is the one thing that we have to try to hold on to as long as we can, because it goes away so quickly. But if you can hold on to it longer, that's how you manifest those things. Two things will happen is when you hold on to that feeling, you will manifest what you want to have faster. And then the last thing is when you're not thinking about the thing that you want to manifest because you've like thought about it to the core of yourself and you basically got busy with something else, the one thing that you put your mind on because you took your mind off of it has now to the readily to appear.
Yeah.
So it's being able to keep yourself busy, and it's also being able to make sure to hold on to that feeling. Those two things I feel in my life had basically helped me to manifest things faster. I landed on my purpose by basically doing every job that I could do to get to where I am today. So let me tell you, I didn't get into pharmacy school. So I rerouted myself into, I had all these science courses. So my counselor said, okay, go ahead and finish up, your degree in, science, because you can use this science degree. And who knew that a science degree could land me a job into pharmaceutical industry? When I landed a job in pharmaceutical industry, I didn't know anything about it. My mom and dad didn't know anything about it, but it was a job that was flexible for me and for my family. So I was provided with a company car, and I actually learned how to be proficient in communication. So that job put me in front of so many doctors. And I realized at the end of the day that I'm not going to be smarter than a doctor, but what I can do is build relationships. And that's what I was good at. So putting myself in front of doctors all that time basically gave me a voice because I wasn't afraid. That was part of my job. And being organized to make sure that when I dropped off these medications, I knew how many sample bottles I dropped off. So I called myself a part-time caterer and a part-time UPS driver because I literally was, feeding them, like hence my love for, I'm a foodie, for food. So I basically pivoted when I didn't get to pharmacy school because I knew that organic chemistry was definitely not my core subject and I definitely didn't enjoy it. And it was something I struggled with. So you got to have really, really good grades to get into pharmacy school. So when I re-pivoted and basically asked my counselor, what should I do next? And they said, just get some science degree. I'm like, all right, I could do that. And I was able to land a job in pharmaceuticals. Did that for 7 years, got good at my communication, and then ended up finding Massage Envy by a fluke. And that fluke was because I said to God, you know what? I have my third baby. She's a girl. Something's got to give. I need more time with my babies. They're growing up so quickly, and this job isn't it. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do and how I can make all of it happen. And that's when the AC of my company car went out on a drive to Arizona. At 4.5 hours of that, driving to, a different state, 10 degrees hotter, and your AC goes out. You don't want to work. You're miserable. So I end up basically asking my cousin to give me a great place where I could get a massage and a great place where I can get a great meal. And I end up finding Massage Envy because that's the place she recommends. And a week later, I literally get my first massage at a Massage Envy, and I was like a horrible person that day because I was mad, I was upset, I was like, you know what, I'm not happy anymore with my job, and something's got to give. And I end up getting into a place I knew nothing about, zero, zit, nada. And the massage was $29.95 for a 1 hour massage at that day, that time. This is almost 20 years ago, 19 years ago. Actually, it was 20 years ago. And anyways, what ended up happening is Mario and I had rental property and we were going to go back to Arizona a week later. So I book him with my massage therapist. I get a new therapist. And I think that obviously he's going to love his massage therapist because I just was captivated by her. She literally gave me exactly what I needed to feel whole again. And so a week later comes by, Mario and I are driving up to Arizona again. He goes in for the first time. And of course, I know he's going to love it. And I thought, man, I gave him the best massage therapist. He's so lucky. I end up loving the second massage therapist even more than the first because I said to myself, man, if this is what it's all about, sign me up. I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that was the day that they had an owner who was present, who was able to answer our question, will you be opening up one in Vegas? And at that moment, she said, actually, if you're interested in opening one up, you should probably get a brochure right behind you and call the guy on that pamphlet. His name is Steve Cook, and inquire, because I know they're breaking ground in Las Vegas very soon. And that's exactly what we did. Mario actually had that light bulb moment, but, I brought it to him, but it was really him who solidified that we could do this. I mean, together. And I thought he was crazy. And I thought, we're just asking. We're not going to open this business. We're just going to ask some questions. But lo and behold, 19 years later, that's what got me to where I am today. It is literally working your way through the world and through jobs and working your way through the corporate ladder and just everything that's presented to you. Do it, because you never know where it's going to lead you. So I didn't have a plan to open a Massage Envy. Okay. I had no knowing of any of that. So when I say the one thing that you take your mind off of will lead you to what you're supposed to be doing, I mean it, because I didn't know that Massage Envy was in the cards for me. And I didn't know that I would do all the things that I did along the way. I just put myself into, the grind and did it. And that's what normally happens. And it will continue to happen in life when you are surrounded by people and when you are surrounded and fed up with what you are having right now in your current life.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be driven enough to say enough is enough. And I've had enough of this. I'm ready to be who I was meant to be and go on that journey.
Wow.
And so that's what I will say. I mean, that's my truth. I can't make it up even if I wanted to. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
And I
So,
love that story. So just side note, so my
yeah,
editor
and
cuts
I
that
was
out.
nursing. Yeah,
Yes.
so I had breast milk, and hot weather and breast milk leads to a sticky situation that leaves someone not only hangry,
Mm-hmm.
but someone to go crazy and I need that baby. Can someone bring me my baby so I could get rid of this milk? It was horrible, but it's those moments that remind you that how far you've come and remind you that drive needed to be stronger
Mm-hmm.
than anything to get you to where you needed to be. And my drive was my children.
Yes, yes. And I think for a lot of women, it's our children. I know they're
Mm-hmm.
not for everyone, but you mentioned something in regards to finding your purpose and us going on to the next thing, or us trying to find what the next thing is. And I see it as
Mm-hmm.
evolution, because we're always evolving. And so
Mm-hmm.
today might be Massage Envy, but tomorrow might be something else. And for me, today is Social Register, but tomorrow might be something else. We are
Right.
continuing
And I think
to
that's the
evolve.
exciting part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's what makes it exciting, because after you've taken that first risk, I think that you develop a muscle in you
Mm-hmm.
that helps you to understand that if I was capable of doing this, there's no stopping me now. I'm
Yeah.
unstoppable,
Mm-hmm.
because the one thing that I thought I could never do, I've done for the past 20 years. And I did it not just with one business. I've, done it with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what I mean? And and it's still not easy. Who would have thought that we would live through a pandemic, through 2 recessions, all while running a business and still have to care for your team members, care for your families. You got people that you are responsible for. And at the end of the day, those are what's priority. And of course, making sure that you're still whole and keeping relationships open with the people who mean a lot to you. I really think that my tribe earlier on, my girlfriends, have played a big contributor to the person I am today. Since second grade, I have friends since second grade, high school, middle school, and I have my core group that I could always turn to and pick right back up where we left off, as if we never have been separated. And, and I have several different girl groups. I now call this one a special girl group, my Women Who Boss Up girl group. That's something that I will always know we'll be friends forever for, because of this book. So, and I've got my pharmaceutical buddies, and then I've got my, Massage Envy buddies. And then I've got my, my second grade buddies, my growing up buddies. So I feel that there is a level of commitment that you need to have to yourself to create relationships that make you whole.
Yeah.
And it is important to feeling like you belong. And I think when you have a strong family dynamic, a great relationship with your husband, great relationships with your girlfriends, and have that, I feel like the relationship part is key. And Harvard's doing a study on happiness, and relationships happens to be a big key component of that. Feeling like you belong and having that sense of belonging is necessary. I don't doubt that without a doubt. But, that is what gives us purpose, knowing that we're not alone in this journey, like we talked about. And when you learn your purpose, you become that person that transcends into someone who you never knew existed within you. I'm like, wow, I'm an author. Wow, I'm a grandmother. Wow, I'm a mother. Wow, I'm a business owner. Like these things, happen, like you said, through evolution of time. And then later on, the last part to this, belonging and then finding your purpose and then transcending is telling your story. Telling your story so that another person can take the risk like you did because you've shown them that you can. And we are a testimonial to our own story. And that if you hold conviction to something that you feel so strongly and passionate about, that good things will come your way. And I feel like a lot of good things have come my way because of it.
You're so great at telling your story. And a lot of women in that book obviously are telling their story. For, when you first did it, were you comfortable with it? Or did you have doubt or did you have fear?
Which part? Running a business or
telling your story, sharing your story?
It came easy to me because when people ask, I'm like, you really want to know? And when they are like, yeah, tell me how you did it. And then you start telling your story and people all the time want to know. It's like you're saying it and you're like, every time you're saying it, it just gets, you add and fill in the blanks and you get to like omit the stuff that you don't think is necessary for them to know, depending on who you're talking to. If you're talking to a student, you're talking to an entrepreneur, it depends on who you're talking to and how you tell the story, because some will relate differently. You know what I mean? And so you gear it towards the person and where they are in their life. So I talked at Chicos por la Casa, and it was students who were homeless that were learning how to find jobs to support themselves and were provided with housing until they got off their feet. And I remember telling my story, and I switched it a little because it was to tell the story to inspire them to know that through me, hopefully they can see a little piece of them in it, and that they can find the courage to feel empowered to know that although this journey wasn't easy, someone like me, a little brown person, a small, petite person could dream this dream and actually make it to come to fruition, that they can too. And that now they have the resources, because I always educate them on the fact that if you want to be a business owner, then reach out to a business owner that you know. If you want to be a dentist, well, you go to the dentist twice a year. Then call on your dentist and make that appointment with them and say, I'm interested in being a dentist. I'm going to dentistry school, but I would like to hear your story and what you like and what you dislike about this job and what made you get into it. I feel that too many of our kids these days are so stuck in social media and wanting to be something they're not, that they don't even have the audacity to ask someone if they want to be a content creator, how do I start? And that is the biggest pitfall, because they think they learned it through TikTok, that now they're all of a sudden, an expert in that field. And I feel like unless you've walked that walk, talked that talk, got in the grind, and, clocked in every day, that it, like when somebody said this once, and it was, you have to do something 10,000 times to become an expert in it. Right? And I don't know who said it, but I heard it. And like I said, leaders are readers. And so I read a lot of books, and I don't always can quote where it came from. Maybe I will quote Oprah more because I love hers. I could go, repeat, put her on repeat all the time. She just, resonates with me. But it's true. when you do something repetitively, like put yourself out there in speaking engagements, that nervous button no longer becomes the nervous button that pushes, you to your core, that you get those little butterflies in you. The more you do something, the better you become. And the better you become, the more higher and predictable your income will become, because you have just mastered becoming, that credibility that people need, and that person, the authority, the leading authority in that, field. And so I talk about three things that I know that I, have talked about. And that's entrepreneurship, health and wellness, and just being a woman, boss out there. And I feel like, being a minority, we did that Rooted and Rising thing. And it was really nice to know that, they want to see more minorities out there showing their superpowers, because what was once not a superpower is now our superpower to be different.
Yes.
And we need to, ride on those coattails that, we are finally getting seen in the general public with movies and getting awards for it. And we need to, strike it while the kettle's hot, is how they say it. And continue to, be a voice out there. This is the next year, 2024, according to astrology, is the year of the women. Anything that a woman touches will turn to gold. And I had just gone to Kate Swift. Actually, she had a event with her mother. It was the Mom and Me podcast that they shared together. And I was invited to a woman's night out where we didn't talk about our businesses. We learned about astrology, and we learned about all the signs for 2024. And she said, we're really happy that you're here today because it's about 2024 being women in power. Wow. So if you are a woman and you are wanting to do something, this is now the time for you to jump on the bandwagon and do it.
Yeah.
This is the time where people will take you more seriously. This is the time where if you ever questioned or doubted yourself to take that risk, that this is the time that you should do it. And it's the Pluto is with Uranus or something. I can never tell it the way an astrologist does it, but something about the planets moving together and obviously making it a little bit easier for us to make it happen. And so I say that it is awesome because I'm a woman and you're a woman, and I want to make sure that every woman hears that, because this is what I heard, and they've been doing it for years. So,
and we're speaking to women today. So you heard that here from Marissa. Through astrology for 2024, anything that a woman touch turns into gold.
Turns to gold. Yeah. Woman in power, yeah.
That's
you
cool.
Definitely have, the powers that be behind you, the universe behind you, and the planets definitely working in your favor. It's just making sure that you have the inner, strength inside to make that, light come through.
Yeah. So before we close it out, Marissa, thank you. Thank you so much for always, blessing me with your words. Because like I said, I'm still waiting for that podcast because Monica and I can literally listen to you all day. It's hard for me to ask you questions.
I'm going to have to learn from you pros, because you guys are obviously lighting the path for me and igniting the fire and flame within me to obviously do something like this. I know it's no easy task for you guys to do this work. Donna Murray is another girlfriend of mine who does podcasting all the time. I'm just trying to finish this damn book. I'm like, my goodness, So I'm going to finish this book on my, and I hope to have a team behind me to promote it.
Yes.
And really, hopefully, empower other women through that book, and just using my voice and the book to be able to make what I call, my calling come to life. And one day have that, interview with Oprah Winfrey.
Yes.
And really call other, women who have been in that journey with me to sit right next to me.
Oh, I cannot wait. I can't wait for the book. Before we close it out, Marissa, is there one advice you'd give to a woman entrepreneur today that, you've learned through your journey?
Gosh, there's so many things that I learned through this journey of entrepreneurship and motherhood. I think the biggest thing that I have is gratitude. A lot of people talk about gratitude, and sometimes we don't realize what we have when it's in front of us. And we forget that we are so blessed, every day, that we take for granted because something, one day irritates us, or somebody makes us mad, or the world is crumbling, or we lost a loved one, or financial woes, there are so many things in life that's happening around us that we totally can be drawn into that space that will bring us ultimately down into that, space that we shouldn't be going. And I need to let everyone know is that when you practice being mindful in gratitude for the things that you do have, that it really does put life into perspective that we have more than we deserve. And oftentimes we forget that because we are either comparing ourselves to others or haven't achieved that next, step that we've been talking about for so long. And that we are being in that sense because where we are supposed to be, where we wanted to have ourselves be at that very moment. And so life is unpredictable. And, we have to roll with the punches, like I always say, and change is inevitable and death is inevitable. Those are the two things that are constants in life, is that we all will die and that things will always be changing. And so the one thing that we can always, always cherish is gratitude. Gratitude for being alive, gratitude for our family and friends, and gratitude for being able to work in the type of work that we are able to do that can help serve others. And to me, that I feel is the secret to being in spirit every day. And I feel that we all choose what spirit we want to be in. Either we're going to walk in fear or we're going to walk in faith. And I choose to walk in faith with God by my side in me. And, I always say, please enter where you already abide, God, because I know you're always with me. And I feel like everybody has that, special, whatever they want to call it, universe, God, Buddha. I love religion. And I think that, humans should be connected to that world. And if not, I get it. If you're not, that's not your thing, fine. But I definitely feel, and I've said this at all the speaking engagements, you need to be strong as much as you can, physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. Because if not, if any one of those things are lacking, all of it falls apart. Mm-hmm. All of it. And so being gratitude for having strength in all four categories, being gratitude to know that, everyone's different and you are a light in this world. And may it shine as bright as you want it to be. And that's all I can say.
Oh, that was so beautiful. I'm just going to close it out. I'm just kidding. Now this podcast is now yours.
I hope that I was able to have people walk with me on that journey there on this podcast, because quite frankly, I really love connecting with you. You're like my little sister, and I really love the fact that our paths with Shane and with Monica and, Tam brought us together, but, we have a bigger and greater purpose. And all of us are visualizing what it is that we want to have appear in our life. Mm-hmm. And we know it's not just about us. It's about a higher being and higher purpose for all of us. And, we haven't quite got there yet, because we'll know when the time has come where we've reached that peak. And I think, because this is, my thoughts only, and I don't know if it's true, but when I'm listening to other people, people who I inspire to be or I feel like it's the time when everything that you ever wanted, you start realizing is coming to life. Mm-hmm. And it's at that very moment when you realize it that you're at peace with it. And it's at that very moment where you're thinking, my goodness, I once dreamt that, and here it is. And you are in awe of it all. And now you can tell the person who wants to be in your spot how you did it. Yeah. And you're feeling at peace because you can walk them step by step through it all. That's powerful. Yeah. So powerful.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's helping that next person get up that hill. Yeah. And knowing that, I always say life is a team effort. No one gets far alone. And when you pull someone up that, mountain, you are, pulling strength with you, because it takes strength to get up that mountain, and no one is getting up there alone.
No.
You got to push yourself, number one, and you got to pull the other person up
lift
there
others.
with you. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Marissa, I cannot wait for your book, and I'm pushing that podcast on you. But how can everyone else, get in contact with you or follow you on social media so when your book does come out, we are all notified
yes.
as well?
So Marissa Hawkins 10, that's obviously my business Instagram page. I'm on LinkedIn at Marissa P. Hawkins. I'm also on Facebook with Marissa Hawkins. And I don't think there's any other platforms out there that I'm missing, but I do also have a website, marissahawkins10.com. For speaking engagements, for mentoring, coaching. That's going to be, I'm going to be working on that for 2024. Yeah. The book, and I really want to focus on 10 individuals that I know that I could hopefully make a difference in their life and really see them come to life because they found their passion. And I think that I'll leave it with another one quote, and that was by Howard Thurman. And I love it so much that I use it often. And it's, don't ask the world what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. Because what this world needs is more of us to come alive.
Thank you. Thank you, Marissa, for coming on and sharing all of your golden nuggets today on the Your Ate podcast and being our Ate today. So thank you so much.
It was absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for having me again. Love you, sister.
Love you.
Ading. Ading.